Once again, theater companies in Boston are staging free outdoor performances of works by Shakespeare. Starting August 10th, the Brown Box Theater Project will perform a comedy of family feuds, reversed fortunes, and flip-flop identities. To tell us about As You Like It is the project's artistic director, Taustin. Also with us is Margaret Clark, who plays Rosalind. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
I want to start with Kyler. For people who get the plays mixed up and don't remember, this is about, what, the Arden Forest?
Correct. So it's about the court and several courtiers who are then transported or exiled into the Forest of Arden. And they are met with the pastoral comedians and lovers and forced to kind of take off certain hats and put on other ones in order to explore this liberating and new environment that they discover in the Forest of Arden.
And of course, what you start with here, you get almost like pairs of people who are in conflict, and then you end up with pairs of people in some kind of resolution, right?
Correct. So we have Rosalind and Orlando who meet and fall in love at first sight at a wrestling match in the court. And then they happen to both be exiled off into the forest and rediscover each other through some mismatched identities and playful things. They are able to kind of discover what real love means for them.
And Margaret, talk about that process, because it ain't that simple, is it?
No, we wouldn't have a play if it were simple. But Rosalind and Orlando fall in love in the court, and when both are sort of exiled, they go into hiding. Rosalind transforms herself and pretends to be a boy named Ganymede. And when she meets up with Orlando, she tells him, "I'll teach you how to fall out of love. You just have to pretend that I'm Rosalind."
So what do you do in pretend? Do you try to sound really, really masculine, or you try to sound like sort of a comical kind of faux masculine here?
Yeah, well, it's been a process discovering what that physicality and vocal life is going to be. There are times when I really lean into the sort of guy, hands on hips, deep voice kind of thing, and other times when I let it go and try to behave more naturally.
Kyler, one of the other things about this play is that people might hear some very, very familiar lines, but it'll sound maybe a bit different. I mean, all the world's a stage, that part.
Yes, All the World's a Stage is obviously one of Shakespeare's most well-known monologues, the 7 stages of life, but it's often taken out of context. And when we dive into this play, you realize that it's actually said by Jaques, who is this melancholic courtier who is out in the woods and just not very happy. So the context of that monologue, while the poetry is still stunning and beautiful and so luscious as we expect from Shakespeare, the context and the manner and from whom it is delivered gives it a little bit of a different flavor when it's coming from someone who is not the most content in their current situation.
Now, when I saw the name in print, I thought it was Jacques, but you said it's Jaques, and I guess Shakespeare was having a little fun with that name, right?
In fact, yes. So there's a lot of French and English switching back and forth, the meanings in there for some of the names in order to play around, and Jaques is playing off of Jakes, which has a little dirtier context to it as well.
Margaret, what about the kind of things that goes on in this play where you've got things that are very funny, at the same time they can almost at the same time be very profound?
Rosalind, there's a lot of writing about this, and I've found it in my own experience, is a tragic character in a comedy. She is doomed from the start and still finds a way to find her own happiness and her own love. But playing with all ends of the emotional spectrum is part of what makes this play so much fun.
But, it's not just about her relationship with a male, it's also a relationship with a female, her partner in exile here, right?
Yeah, her relationship with Celia is, for me, one of the emotional cores of the play. They have such a bond. They're closer than sisters, the text tells us, and forging that relationship with Austin, who plays Celia, has been a real joy.
Kind of one of the other things going on in sort of producing this play is the importance of the setting, because, in Shakespeare you have the court, and then here you have the forest, the woods where people sort of get lost. So how do you bring that to life in the stage?
Well, we are playing with this idea of a treehouse, and we're actually bringing this element of a rather static set that then will expand and open up, again, treating it with this liberation that is achieved when you enter into the forest. And so while some venues will have the forests right there surrounding us, or the fields and places where the trees are right there, we will also bring a couple along with us for the venues that are less green and luscious, as maybe the Forest of Arden demands.
Margaret, when you're performing this, this is a free performance. Hopefully you're going to get a lot of people who haven't seen Shakespeare live before. How do you feel about that kind of an audience?
I think it's the best kind of audience, and it's part of why I keep coming back to work with Brown Box, because we reach people all the time who've never seen a Shakespeare play at all and never read one. I mean, last year with Hamlet, people didn't know how it ended, and that's a rare feeling for an actor doing Hamlet. So I love doing this. It brings theater to communities that don't always have it.
And Carla, you have two different settings in Boston, and we should sell the virtues of those. First of all, Herder Park in Brighton.
Yes, so Christian Herder Park has been recently revitalized, and we opened with there last year as their first major program that they were able to do in this new revitalized amphitheater. They have since continued the growth and expansion of that. They're doing programming throughout the summer, and we will be back there again for our first full weekend, the 10th through the 12th at Herder Park. It's a stunning amphitheater, free parking right there along the river, and it is an ideal setting for this play. We'll then be back at our normal stomping ground at the Atlantic Wharf in Fort Point. So it's a lot more convenience for those that may not have a car. So it's right by South Station. And while again, those trees might not be there, it's a wonderful, beautiful setting right there with the city as the backdrop, and very convenient and a worthwhile spot to join us as well.
Speaking of backdrops, I'm going to ask you once again for a little of the history behind this company, because the outdoor stuff, it's not just a seasonal convenience. It's your mission, right?
Correct. Our mission truly is to take theater to communities with little or no access to the performing arts, breaking down geographic or financial barriers that separate them from having this access. And so whether we are around in January, February, we're doing shows in the summer, or any time of year, we're going into places, collaborating with communities in order to provide this access. And so whether we're turning art galleries into performance spaces, or lobbies into performance spaces, or as we do with Shakespeare, are transforming these outdoor parks or public spaces into our performance venue, we are able to enter into these communities and become the provider of high quality professional performing arts that they may not be able to access otherwise.
Now, this production around Massachusetts, it's August 10th through 26th, so if people want more details, you got the website?
Correct, brownboxtheater.org.
All right, thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you.